Hello and welcome to Dan Talks United. Let's just play it. Right. We've won 3-2. Carrick's at the wheel. Da 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 da. Casemiro. Da 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 da. The man from Brazil, Casemiro. But we'll get into that. But yes, we've beaten Fulham. I sort of dubbed this the sort of reality check game because we've beat City, we've beat Arsenal, and the big test for us has got to be trying to beat Fulham. And that's the main thing, is that we've been able to beat. I'm just going to refresh my stream there. The main thing for me is that we've been able to beat Fulham at Old Trafford. You just never know, because we've struggled against the lower sides in the past. So it's good to get that win definitely on the board there. And it keeps that top four alive. It keeps it alive. Yes, come on, Carrick's at the wheel. How does it feel, people? Carrick is at the wheel. Feels good. So I just want to start off before we get into the match. Just wanted to do a big shout out to the people that have been tuning into the lives. So we've got a comment already anyway from SJG, and that's a big shout out to SJG. Ride or die, always there, every live show. Want to shout out to Aaron as well. Edvin, you've not been in for a couple. Brendan as well, I think he came in last minute in the last live that we went. SBO, where you at, SBO? And this is a Man City fan. I don't think we'll see SBO again until City beat us again, or beat us in the future. And obviously, I've got to shout out to two boys, David Speaks Football, and Alex from the Football Brotherhood. So again, thanks for the support. But another win, guys. How are you feeling, David, when you tune in? How are you feeling? Carrick's at the wheel. How does it feel? But anyway, let's get into it. So obviously, we've beaten 3-2. We'll just go through on the goals first. So Casemiro with the first goal after 19 minutes. Then Cunha after 55 minutes. Jimenez gets that penalty, scores that penalty high into the net there. So obviously, Le Mans couldn't do anything about that. Then Kevin, don't know who he is, but apparently he's from Brazil. He scored a bit of a wonder strike to make it 2-2. But then the big lad, Air Sesco, pal driver, gets that winning goal. Fantastic stuff. But let's just get into the first half. But I'll just look at the comments first. So, what a game. Yes, what a game. SJG saying what a game there. And it was a fantastic game. Another win for Carrick. Carrick's at the wheel. It's going the right direction. Obviously, I won't get too carried away, but that top four's still sort of alive. We're in there. I'm sure we're fourth now after that because we needed that win. Yes, there was a couple of teams yesterday that had won, like Liverpool, for example. The last I've just checked, I know Spurs are not in it, but we've got them next, and they were losing against City. We're putting the pressure on Villa. I think they've lost to 10-man Brentford, haven't they? So we're putting the pressure on Villa as well. So you never know. Top three could be in our sights. But anyway, for now, the top four is kept alive. Come on. United. But yes, it feels fucking amazing. Yes, as it does. It feels unbelievable to get that win. And like I say, this was the big tester for me to try and beat a lower side, a side that would traditionally play more of a mid to low block, and we've struggled to break down teams such as Fulham. As I've said before, we've struggled against Burnley's, for example, Everton with 10 men as well. So some of the lower sides we seem to struggle against, and we just need to start to turn that around. And that's where we're going to get our joy, really, in terms of getting that top four spot potentially. And also, we need to make Old Trafford a fortress. We can't be having these shit teams coming to Old Trafford and winning or getting points off us. And it was looking really close there, and that knobhead ref. But that's another thing as well, because just 1 minute, I just need to listen in, because I think there's a message coming from Stockley Park. I think they're checking for offside for Fulham still. Just bear with me. No, it's all right. It's clear. It's clear. Don't you worry. They've cleared it. They've cleared it. I mean, what the fuck was that referee? I mean, what the fuck is all of them doing? Taking so long to rule that goal offside. Absolutely fucking pathetic. And then 9 minutes added time as well. And then you just kept going and going and going. It felt like it was about 12 minutes added on. What the fuck is going on with these refs sometimes? Anyway, let's get back into it. So, let me just refresh again. Just bear with me. We'll keep going on the Carrick train. Carrick is all at the wheel. How does it feel, everybody? Carrick is at the wheel. So, the game to begin with, it did start a little bit cagey. Let me just check the chats. Yeah, closer game. I'm just coming into that now that it was a closer game than expected. And the referee was an absolute fucking joke, and that is true. But it started off a bit cagey. My prediction was 3-0. So we did get 3 goals, though. So I got one bit of it right, but then I wasn't expecting them to get 2. But we'll take the win. It's still a win. And obviously getting that goal, and we'll come on to it, but getting that goal in that fashion, it was deserved as well. I think overall, we definitely deserve to win today. Overall, we've got the better attackers, we've got the more sort of elite players than Fulham, and this is the way it should go. But it was a good game, probably a good game for the neutrals, but obviously for ourselves, as Manchester United fans, you are a little bit on the edge. And how it started as well was a little bit cagey. It's almost like it was a little bit nervous playing at home in front of the crowd, and obviously we had protest today. I don't know how well that went, but it's really important that we still keep that in our minds. Although Carrick's come in and he's turned the mood and we've started to win some games, and who knows, United Strand, could be getting his locks cut off. But despite all that, it's really important not to forget how shit those Glazers are. They are an absolute virus to this club, and they've ruined the club. Yes, people will say they've spent money, but it's not the point. They've been shit owners. It's been really bad ever since they've come in. And it's good to still have people protesting, the fans protesting, and they're showing their true feelings on the matter. And we can't just protest when we're losing. We can't just protest when we're not signing players. We've also got to protest even when we're winning, because we've still got shit ownership here. We still need to put our foot on those Glazers' necks. And they're selling the houses in America. They need to be selling Manchester United. And they need to put it in the hands of somebody that can give a shit, who actually gives a shit and actually wants to spend money in the right way. But for now, 3-2 today against Fulham. Carrick's the boy. Are we signing him up? What do you guys think? But anyway, let's continue with the first half review. So, like I say, we settled down after about 5 minutes. Amar was getting a lot of joy down that right-hand side. He was beating his opponent there, Robinson. And I thought, I mean, to be fair, Robinson's probably better going forward than he is defending. But anyways, he did have him on toast, and he was getting a few balls, and he was beating him quite a bit of times and just sort of cutting inside into the area. So he was getting a lot of joy there. There was a pen call. Fulham man got the ball from behind and Boomo, but to be fair to him, it was a good tackle from behind. And then on about 12 minutes, Le Mans did quite a nice reaction save, to be honest, because it was one of those where it was a bit of a toe poke. I can't remember who sort of prodded it towards goal. And it's one of those that could have sneaked into the near post, and definitely if Onana was in there, it would have gone into the back of the net. So you've got to give a shout out there to Le Mans. That was a nice, tidy sort of save there, nice reaction save. And then there was another pen call, Cuenca again. I mean, he was involved in quite a few things, this Cuenca. I mean, he looked a decent defender that was doing a lot of last-ditch stuff. But his tackle in the end, I think he was sort of dragging Bruno back by his shirt. And in the end, VAR have sort of taken it back for a free kick. But from the free kick, nice little sort of clipped ball into the area. And then, Casemiro, lovely header. We know that Casemiro, it's Casemiro from the great Real Madrid. And like I say, he's good in the air, Casemiro. We all know how good he is in the air. Fantastic header. Loops into the top corner. What can I say? Another comment there. Yep, definitely from SJ there. Glazers out, and definitely we've got to get those Glazers out. We need to get our club back. We need to get our club back. They've taken the heart out of the club. They've ripped it out. They've ripped the soul out, and we need to get our club back. We just want somebody. I know that Sir Jim's there, and you could sort of say that he means well, but we need some competency coming into this club and taking over and getting us back where we deserve. We deserve to be at the top. It's a massive club. It's loved by millions, hated by a lot of people as well, but we need to be back up there. And a lot of people know if you don't have a good Manchester United, it's not the same Premier League. It's not the same English league without a really good Manchester United. We're recognised across the world. We're like any other big brand, but we need to be looking good on the pitch as well. So let's get rid of these fucking Glazers. Horrible parasites. And another comment there, Le Mans put in a good performance, couldn't do much about the penalty or the screamer. Yeah, definitely. And obviously we'll come on to some of that as well, but I don't think he could have done much. I think he dived the right way for Jimenez's penalty. And then Kevin scoring that screamer. And at that point, I was definitely going into that low mood, thinking, what the fuck, here we go again. This was the big test, and unfortunately, Carrick has not passed it, but Sesko, but we'll come on to that. So, yes, lovely header from Casemiro. And then going into the second half, nice ball played through to Mbeumo from Dalot, to be fair to him. I mean, Dalot, he's had his critics from me. I'm one of his critics. I think often he has an okay game here and there. I think defensively he's okay, but it still does the thing that I can't stand, where it doesn't seem to engage his opponent very well. And it ends up where the opposition get a cross in, or they get into dangerous positions. And I think it's because, for me, he's not being aggressive enough and he's not engaging his opponent when they're going down the left-hand side there. So for me, it was a nice ball through, though, and that's something that you'd expect Bruno to do. And unfortunately, Mbeumo gets played through and the keeper comes out and smothers. So it was really unfortunate that we didn't get Mbeumo just clipping it over the keeper, but a nice pass from Dalot. So I've got to sort of give him his flowers where it's due. But like I say, still got things about Dalot. I think I'd probably be looking at Mazraoui coming back in now, because I think for me, Mazraoui is much better defensively, but also gives you something a bit more maybe going forward, not as wasteful. I just think Dalot is all sort of style and no substance at times. So he looks silky, but then when he gets into that final third, as I keep saying, it just gets a nosebleed and then that's it. But there was a nice passage of play, which ends in a Casemiro assist, a no-look pass from Casemiro into Cunha. And he didn't have much to aim for, to be fair, Cunha. I weren't sure that was going to go in because the angle that he was at, but to get it high into the roof of the net, keeper had no chance, and it was a fantastic goal from Cunha. If I'm honest, I'm not sure Cunha had the best game in the world. I'm not going to lie. I don't think he had the best game. I think he could have done a bit better throughout the game. I think, I suppose it was always going to look that way when Dorgu was so explosive, and obviously a big miss to miss Dorgu going down the wing. I never thought I'd say that, because I've been a critic of Dorgu. Not in the sense of that I think that's it and he can never be a good player for Manchester United, but I just thought probably it's hampered him under Amorim's system to a certain extent, and everybody's looking a lot more lively now anyway. But I never saw Dorgu as a winger per se. I think obviously wing back because he's got the engine, he's got the lungs, and obviously that Bale 2.0 as people call him. But joking aside, I think he's got the lungs for it to go up and down. But as a winger, didn't see it. But obviously I've seen when he's doing a bit of training with his trainer at times in his own time and his shooting drills and stuff like that. So he's got a shot on him. And he's very free when he plays for his country as well. So to be fair, he's had some good games. He would just go in, won't he? And then he goes and gets injured. But yeah, Cunha comes in his place. The only thing I'd say though with Cunha is probably doesn't get up and down in the same way as Dorgu. I thought that Dorgu did a lot of sort of doubling up with Shaw to help Shaw out, especially against Sesko. I mean, Saka, against Arsenal. I think he did a lot of sort of double team efforts there. Didn't quite see the same with Cunha. I think he also sort of drops back into midfield a little bit just to stop some of those gaps appearing, because there was a lot of gaps happening in our midfield today, and it was feeling a little bit like the old times, which is so anyway, we got through it though. And that's the main thing. And obviously, Cunha gets his goal. And is that 3 goals in a row? It's three goal involvements anyway, even if it's not 3 goals. But yes, and they've been fantastic goals as well for Cunha. They're not poor goals. They're really good goals. So you've got to hand it to Cunha. Massive game in that sense. And we needed that sort of top class players just stepping up, because when you're 2-2, and like I say, Sesko's got his goal there, but when it's 2-2, who knows which way it's going to go? And obviously, with so much time added on, that's the difference, and that is the difference maker. So for us, trying to beat a sort of mid to low block, the only way of really doing it until we start to build up some sort of consistency in the way we play, consistency in sort of patterns, and consistency in sort of breaking teams down, you've got to have players that have got that little bit of extra. And I suppose, like I say, you've got that ball through from Casemiro, no look pass, threaded pass through the lines in a sense, does beat the last line. So you've got to hand it to us that we've done that, but we've just got to see it on a more consistent basis. But again, the difference is, although Fulham have got a wonder strike there for the leveller, they haven't got the players like us up front. And like Alex said during one of the streams, that we've got a better sort of front 3, front 4 than Arsenal. You can't argue with that. You can't argue with that, because you're hard pressed when you look across all the teams across the Premier League to say that there's any team that can say flatly they've got a better front 3 than us, or front 4, or whatever you want to call it. Because we have got some really good players there. And once Sesko sort of settles down, you could have a really good striker there. Obviously, you've got Cunha that can score a banger. You've got Mbeumo that's really clinical. You've got Ahmad that can score as well. You've got Bruno that can score. So we've got some goal scorers there. And like I say, it'd be very hard pressed to think of a team that you can say that, head and shoulders, their strike force or their front 3s or 4s are better than ours. And obviously, you look at City all the time, and you look at Haaland, you look at Cyborg, and like I say, that's probably the only player that sort of stands out where you think you'd bring him in and swap somebody out for him because he's that good. But other than that, I mean, I don't want that play called own goal from Arsenal. Not for me. I don't think that's sustainable. So they can keep their top scorer own goal. I'll stick with our players, because we've got some really good players, and we just need to keep pressing ahead until the end of the season and see where we end up. Let's see where we end up. And then there's going to be that question. I won't bring it up again. Well, I'll bring it up later probably. But yes, like I say, nice passage of play up to that point. It wasn't a case of like a counter-attack, for example. It was just nice passage of play, nice sort of 1-2s here and there, and then Casemiro finishes it off by a threaded pass through to Cunha, and then, like I say, roof of the net sort of settings. That's just different class. As yet, comment there from SJ. Casemiro, what a legend. Yes, he's enjoying his football. Casemiro is enjoying his football. Some people might have thought that when he announced that he was leaving in the summer, that he'd just dip. He'd probably sort of get the sunglasses on and just chilling out on the beach. But no, he's enjoying himself. He's up for it. He's scoring goals. He's a threat in both boxes. Or should I say, he's a threat in their box, and he's good defensively as well. And he's always trying to score. You can see he's always a little bit upset if he's been subbed off as well, because he can feel that he still can give something to the team right to the 90th minute and beyond, especially with this referee. You need to give 100, 120 minutes with this referee. I think he thought it was some sort of extra time in some sort of competition, so it was just crazy. But anyway, unfortunately, Fulham got one back through Cuenca from close range after a free kick ricocheted. But it was checked for offside, and that's what I was talking about earlier when I got that little message in the air from Stockley Park. It took that long to sort of rule it off. But, like I say, they did get back into the game, unfortunately. So just got another chat there. Yes, the reaction when Sesko scored, it's priceless. And I love the fact that he's jumping all over Carrick as well. Just Casemiro, he loves the club. Don't know whether he loved Real Madrid just the same, but he loves the club. He'll be sad to leave. You can see that it's a heartfelt message that he's put out there to say that he's leaving. Again, not saying he's the best number six we've ever had in the world or anything like that. I'm not saying that we shouldn't have won a bit more, but at the same time, I think we've probably let him down a little bit. He could have done with signing off with a cup or so, but unfortunately, we're not in the cup anymore, are we? So there we are. So, like I say, Jimenez got that goal, as I was saying, in the first half, or early, should I say, with that penalty. Obviously, it was a good finish. And then we've got Kevin, who got that screamer as well, just to level things up. But first touch, Sesko with his first touch, gets a header, new haircut, new Barnet, hits the post. And I'm thinking, oh, Sesko, this was your time. This was your time to shine. And then, like I say, we have to talk about Maguire. I don't want to labour the point because, yes, he's made a mistake there where he's sort of... This is the thing as well, is that I would say to extend Maguire's contract potentially if he's going to reduce his salary. I don't want it to stop a really good centre-back coming in the summer, for example. But if it means that we keep somebody that's got some good experience around, who's good with the youth, as I said in the preview video, then I'm up for that. I'm up for that. But what I don't want is that he stunts I shouldn't say stunts the growth of the youth players, because if they're good enough, then they'll be in the team. But I don't want it to stop a really good centre-back coming in, because I think that's what we need now. We need a really good centre-back, and then we need to establish a partnership. Now, at the moment, you've got Maguire and you've got Martinez, but that's not long-term. We need to start now getting a consistent and longer-term partnership at the back now there. So that, because you can see already when you've got that consistency, you've got Le Mans in goals, you know what you're getting there. And again, I still say that, jury's out, not in a bad way, not in the sense of I think he's a bad keeper. I think he's a decent keeper. And I think the main thing is, and what I'm looking at, is that he is a better keeper than Onana. I think everybody can agree with that. You can still see that Onana is making mistakes at the club he's on loan to. Still an absolute train wreck. And then Bayindir is better than him as well. So the fact that he is a calming influence on the defence, and that's really important, I think everything else should, or hopefully will, come down the line. But again, command in the box is getting there. I think he's catching the balls really well, which is obvious and easy, but that's what you want from your goalkeeper. And I think he's starting to show me a few sort of reaction saves now. So I was worried about his agility, if I'm honest. And obviously, I don't want to judge him off De Gea standards, because obviously peak De Gea, I mean, obviously he had his weaknesses, because obviously people talk about his footwork, but sort of peak De Gea and the way he would react to certain shots that were goal-bound shots, then obviously I'm not quite seeing that. But like I say, that save after about 12 minutes was a nice reaction save. It's something that I don't feel like I've seen from Le Mans up until today, and I just want to see a bit more of that. I just want to see his ability to sort of claw things out of the net, sort of thing, and sort of get those sort of claw him out of the top corner type saves. And again, I am judging him by De Gea, and that's what I'm used to from De Gea. And I know there's only, you're not going to get many keepers that could do what De Gea could do. But again, like I say, if we can just get a steady goalkeeper, which I think he is, someone that can just do a game-saving type save here and there, and that's what you need sometimes, because your defence are not always 100% going to keep strikers at bay, for example, or forward players at bay. So you do need your keeper to keep concentrated and be able to pull off one of those, and a worldy save every now and again. Just pull off a worldy save and do all the other stuff, all the basics right, and I'm more than happy. But at the moment, really happy with Le Mans, and I think he's a breath of fresh air, and it makes a massive difference. And I can see the defence. I've got a lot of trust in him, and that's the main thing. But unfortunately, Maguire did make a bit of a mistake, and that's what I'm talking about before in plenty of other videos where we know that if we try and play a sort of highish line and the ball gets played in behind and it's accurate and the forward player is onside, the likelihood of Maguire sort of stopping that is very slim, because as soon as that player gets a run on Maguire, he's definitely not the quickest and he's definitely not going to get any quicker. So that's my only sort of issue with him, and that's what's sort of led to that penalty decision. I just don't feel that he was he was sort of out of it. Once the ball got played in, he was out of it, and he was scrambling back. And he's made the challenge, which obviously in hindsight he'll probably think I shouldn't have done it, because I think Le Mans got there, to be honest. I think Le Mans was fine. He came out, he rushed off his line, which was one of his weaknesses actually before he came to Manchester United. When you look at sort of scouting reports, apparently he doesn't really come off his line normally, but he rushed off his line on that one, and he got there. And I think if Maguire I get why he intervened. I get it, because end of the day, he's lost the run of the ball and he's trying to make amends. But Le Mans did get there, so it is a massive shame. But anyway, Jimenez gets his goal. Not much that Le Mans can do about it. Dive the right way, as I was saying earlier, but it's roof of the net. Keepers aren't going to save that. From that distance, from the penalty spot distance, and it goes that high into the net, it's very, very difficult to stop them. And then, like I say, Kevin from Brazil. Let me just go onto the chat there. Just one sec. So Le Mans had that covered. Maguire shouldn't have. Yeah, so right. Definitely right there. Yes, and if anybody else is watching, don't be shy. Get your comments in. But yeah, Le Mans did have it covered. It looked like it. I mean, I'll watch it again, but it looked like Le Mans had that covered. So it's just a shame that happened. But anyway, it's not a downer. We've won. So it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter, but it's something to look at. So yes, Kevin from Brazil scores an absolute screamer on 91 minutes. And again, it's one of those goals where yes, you can say close him down. And obviously I'll watch it back, and there's probably a player who could have closed him down. I'm not sure who should have been marking him, so I'd have to watch that again. And he's obviously slipped past his man, and he's just rifled it into the top corner. There's nothing you can do about that. It's not, when you watch it back as well from all the angles, Le Mans couldn't save that. Again, I don't want to keep going back to De Gea, but maybe he could have got a fingertip to it. But anyway, it is what it is. He gets the screamer. And then Bruno. And I mean, this is his second assist in this game. Second assist in the game. And he does a lovely bit of wing play. So the ball gets played wide right. Doesn't touch the ball, spins his man. Nice little sort of step over the ball and spins his man. Runs down. I can't remember who it was who was trying to, might have been Bassey, was trying to sort of claw at his shirt and pull him back a little bit, but he just sweeps the ball in. And then Sesko, at first I thought, oh, is that a bit of a dodgy touch? But it touches it, spins, turns, and just rifles it into the top corner. And it's Air Sesko to get the winner. And obviously, crowd's going wild. Quite funny, actually, because the camera panned to Kevin, who scored that screamer, and thought he got the equaliser. Well, he did get the equaliser, but probably thought he rescued some points. And it wasn't Kevin lost in New York, it was Kevin lost at Old Trafford, because when the cameras panned to him, he could see he was like, what's happened here? I thought I got a point for the team. I thought we might have been on the road to maybe even snatching a win. And then up steps Sesko, second attempt at scoring, and lovely finish. And that's what you want from your striker. And I think if it was Gyökeres in the red shirt, I think Timberland boots are coming out and he might have skied it. But that was a lovely finish, and that's what you're used to from Sesko. If you look at his back catalogue of goals over in Germany, that's the sort of thing he would do. So we need to see more of that from Sesko, and it's good to see the attitude still good. So obviously he'll be disappointed that he's not starting games, and he's come onto the pitch and he's pretty much done what Cunha's been doing, where he's sort of come on and he's thought, you know what, I'm going to fight for the team, I'm going to try and score, and in this case he's also come on there and gets a winner. Very similar to Cunha getting the winner against Arsenal. And that's what you want. You want that. You want people that are hungry. You want people that, even if they're on the bench, obviously you don't want someone to be happy to be on the bench. And I'm sure Sesko's not happy being on the bench. But what you do want is that, although you're not happy, your frustration turns into positivity, where you show Carrick in this occasion that, look, Gaffer, I'm good enough to start and I'm going to show you. And that's what you want. You don't want players coming onto the pitch and sort of trudging on and not asked and not part of the game and thinking, feel sorry for me, feel sorry for me. You want players coming onto the pitch and saying, look at me. This is what I can do. I can deliver. I can deliver in the red shirt. There you go. Getting a winner. And it's really nice for Sesko because obviously he's had a sort of up and down start, really. It has been a little bit patchy here and there where he goes on a bit of a run and then he gets taken out of the team. And I think he's definitely a confidence player. He's not one of those players that, at the moment anyway, that you can bank on, that can sort of play through a bad period per se. I think definitely all about confidence. And I think when he's been on that little bit of a scoring run, you can see, he's going to score again, he's going to score again, and he gets pulled out. So he's done well. He's come back in this game, scored the winner. It's at Old Trafford. I don't think you can get better than that. So, just going to come on to, in fact, let me just do the quick look at the stats and everything. So I like to do that on FootMob. So I'm going to quickly do that before we get into. So whilst I'm doing that, anybody that's watching, please put your comments in. I'm going to come on to sort of strong performers, so players that have played well, and then we'll come on to the man of the match, so get that ready to go. So, as you can see there, just interesting actually, because obviously we're on the left-hand side, Fulham was on the right-hand side, and overall we finished up with 42% possession. So very interesting. Now, obviously when you win, you're not bothered because you rather have goals and the end result being a win over having more possession. However, this has got to be something that we've got to look at though. So when we're playing the lower sides and the onus is on us, or should be on us, to have more possession of the ball, yeah, we've missed out there narrowly. So you've got Fulham on 58% and we're on 42%. Expected goals, to be fair, Fulham was slightly higher there. Total shots, they had more shots than us as well. But again, it's those 3 goals that count to their 2. Big chances, we had 3. They had 2. Big chances missed. We missed 2. They missed 1. And then pretty much not that bothered about the rest of the stuff really there. But yeah, that just gives you a little bit of a flavour of what sort of happened in the game. Again, I always say stats aren't everything because, again, it's all about the win. And again, I will sacrifice possession if it means that we win 3-2. And again, when you're watching it, it isn't the sort of scoreline that you want because you're sort of on edge. It's a bit nerving. I was quite nervous before the game because, again, I saw this as a bigger test than the City and Arsenal game. For the City and Arsenal game, before a ball was kicked, I'd have been happy enough to come through them unscathed. So that means if we lose, it's narrow. And if we don't lose, we manage to get a draw or so. But we make an account for ourselves. But to come away from those 2 games with 6 points, and then this game now, this was the big tester because I've said it already, beating those lower level sides is always, can be a bit of an issue for us because, again, it's about beating that low block, which isn't always easy for us to do. And sometimes, and again, we take the piss out of Arsenal, but sometimes we need a set piece or 2. But that is often the way to beat a low block because these teams these days, to be fair, they are really well drilled and really well set up. And Marco Silva, decent coach, sets up Fulham really well. They've had some joy against the big sides here and there, and they can be quite difficult to break down at times. So it isn't just us that struggle sometimes against this sort of mid to low block. It's not just us. I think the only concern, as I was saying there, looking there, is I'll take the win all day long, but possession-wise, I think I'd like to see in that game at least 60% possession for us, but then doing something with it. So it's something to think about. But again, Carrick's taken over a team that were a bit confused, I would say, under Amorim. We can't just completely diss Amorim all the time, though. I think he has done some good stuff here and there. It's just that now players are playing in the right positions. They've got more energy. They've got some trust in Carrick, and they're performing for him. And today, where it looks like it was a little bit down and you just didn't know whether Fulham were going to turn things around, because there's been a lot of that going on. Because even with Chelsea in their game yesterday, I mean, West Ham looked like they were going to absolutely batter them, and it might have been maybe like 3-0 at half time. But then it goes in 2-0. They come back out, and I think they win 3-2 or 4-2, whatever it was. So they turned it around. So you're just wondering, are Fulham going to do the same to us? But no, we stuck by, we kept at it, and our big players performed and came out on top. So, without further ado, I'm going to start off with strong performers. So for me, I've got to give a shout out, as much as he's conceded 2 goals, got to give a shout out to Le Mans. Again, I think he was steady in the game. I think he was calm into the defence. I think it was close. I mean, it doesn't mean anything because he didn't save it, but he dived the right way. So that's something to think about in the future, maybe when we're in a penalty shootout or when there's other penalties in the future. He didn't get fooled by the stutter step from Jimenez. I mean, Jimenez probably stuttered about 5 or 6 times and he was still there waiting and he dived the right way, so I'll give him that. And then, like I say, that wonder strike from, I mean, who calls himself Kevin from Brazil? But anyway, Kevin from Brazil. I think he's from Brazil. That screamer, top corner, there's not much Le Mans could do about that. But overall, and like I say, just for that save in the first half, which was a reaction save, I've got to give it to him. But, just comment there from SJG. Casemiro was on point today. And yeah, really good game today. Next player, I've got to shout out Bruno as well, because obviously he's got 2 assists in this game. Really nice play from him down the right-hand side for the winner. But obviously the first from the dead ball situation and that header from Casemiro. So Bruno, okay, he had flashes even there where you think, is he in the game? But again, you've got to put him in one of the strong performers when he gets 2 assists. And obviously that's a difference. And it's a difference maker at the end there because it's a decent pass, a good pass into Sesko, gives him the opportunity to sort of swivel and turn and shoot. And what can I say? You know, he's got two assists. He's just, the stats are always there. He's always statting. And then Ahmad, for me, I think he played well as well. Again, it's not all about assists and goals. I think he was constantly attacking Robinson. Robinson was always sort of on his toes, trying to stop him. He barely got a foot in. He was just too quick for him. Even when Ahmad gave him a chance, he was still taking the ball away from him because he's got quick feet, Ahmad. And they do call him Messi in training. I mean, obviously I won't go there in terms of being Lionel Messi, but he has got the sort of twinkle toes. And then, I mean, I can name a few more, but I'm going to finish off on Martinez because I think, especially towards the end of the game, he was putting some monster challenges in. The aggression is what I like to see. I just wish that Dalot had a bit more of, or had some of Martinez's aggression, to be honest. But he was putting some last-ditch tackles in. Lovely sort of bit of clearances and lovely bit of play and just calming things down when he was on the ball. But yes, made a few clearances, quite a few tackles on the ground were timed to perfection. And even when the referee refused to blow that final whistle, Martinez was still battling and still getting in there. So a good performance from Martinez overall for me. Then sometimes I do underperformers, but I'm not going to say anybody underperformed today particularly. I mean, obviously I can attack people like Dalot, for example, but to be honest, I think overall he played okay. I don't think he dropped as low as underperformer. And like I've said before earlier, I thought Cunha could have done a bit better. I don't want him to be sort of pigeonholed into this sort of super sub either, so I'm just hoping he can just sort of improve a little bit when he's starting, really. I just want to see a little bit more from him. But the goal, can't question that. So, man of the match. So if anybody's watching, want to put the comments in, and even if you watch this later, please put your comments in and just tell me who you think your man of the match is. But for me, Casemiro, For me, it's got to be Casemiro, and purely because I think he did put in a really good midfield display today. I know there was a lot of gaps here and there in midfield, and there was a lot of sort of play straight through the centre at times, but there was still Casemiro being in the right place at the right time, defensively, but also in an attacking phase as well. And that first goal, lovely header, lovely connection, lovely in the air, got us on the way. And then that no-look pass through to Cunha, made in Brazil, a goal made in Brazil. Real Brazilians there, Casemiro and Cunha connection, but it was just a lovely slide rule pass there. So for me, with the goal and the assist, it's got to be Casemiro. And then obviously just a lot of things about the guy at times, because obviously I've been a critic of him at times, because there's one of the seasons under Ten Hag, I think, where he was really poor. And we just thought we're definitely not getting Real Madrid Casemiro here. But just his aura, his pleasure in his face when we score a goal, and even when he's on the bench and he's jumping around, jumping all over Carrick, he's just loves to be alive right now, playing for Manchester United. And for me, I think, there could be one or two of us that could probably get it, but for me, it's got to be Casemiro. So SJG there saying Casemiro as well. David's made an appearance. Unbelievable from Bruno. Needs to retire at United and never let him go. What another performance. Yeah, and you're right there, David. I think he's done some good stuff again. It's one of those where even when it seems like he's having a quiet game, he will still pop up with an assist, or he'll pop up with a goal, or he'll score a penalty. And he's just, when it comes to just goal involvements, and I was saying it in the preview that he was responsible for 17 of our points, and you just think, this guy, despite a lot of fans in this fan base, never mind, not liking Bruno for some reason, is one of those where if you don't appreciate him now, when he goes, you will. Because, again, I can't think of a player that we could buy today that could slot in and do what Bruno does. Now, don't get me wrong. He can frustrate. He can do some crazy shit sometimes. And there's sometimes where, even like today, I'm saying, right, Bruno, you're not going to get a free kick, so get up and carry on. So there'll be times where you'll frustrate me at times, don't get me wrong. And a lot of my frustration with Bruno this season was under Amorim when he was playing that deeper role. But back in the number 10, I've always loved Bruno in the number 10 from the day he came from Sporting under Ole, I believe it was. I've liked Bruno, I've loved Bruno, and I think he's Mr. Manchester United right now. Is a good captain in the sense of leading by example, loves the club, wants to win every game. He's been there in some big moments, and today he was needed again because that wing play. I know it's not Ryan Giggs' wing play, but to be clever enough at that time as well. And another thing as well, where you would say that people tire towards the end of a game and the energy's still high, the energy's still up, and to have that speed of thought to think, I'm just going to spin my man, I'm not going to touch the ball, I'm just going to step over it, spin my man. Bass is all sort of clambering all over him, and Bass is coming as a sub as well, so you should have a lot of energy. And just the nice sort of cross into Sesko, can't complain. It's hard to believe it's not Scholes, yes. Carrick as well. Carrick's at the wheel. How do you feel, David? Carrick is at the wheel. He's going to do it, you know. He's going to do it. He's going to get offered the job. At this rate, he's going to get offered the job. It's going to be United Strand cutting his hair off. It's going to be David cutting his beard. It's going to be Carrick at the wheel. Carrick signing the thing. He's going to be signing that contract. That papers are coming out. I'm telling you, the papers are coming out. But no, I joke. Or do I joke? No, I joke. But like I say, let's ride the wave. Let's ride the wave of Carrick for now. And obviously, it's it makes you think what would have happened if he came in a little bit earlier. But we're still in it. We're still in it. It's still plenty of games to play. Anything can happen from here. We could nosedive at any point. So at the moment, it's a high. But like I say, hopefully we can keep this high, we can keep performing, we can keep it on. And I hope as well that this gives the team some confidence because, again, I'm sure these players might have thought, although it's Fulham, we have, Fulham have often. Because again, that's another thing with Fulham, though, in even games gone by, even games under Fergie, to be fair, we've not really battered them that much. I can't even remember a time where we've absolutely battered them, to be fair. So it's always quite especially at Craven Cottage as well, it's always quite a sort of close game. And we've done a lot of sort of nice little winners towards the end of the game. And there's plenty of times I can think of when we've done it at Craven Cottage or at Old Trafford. So it's not normally a thrashing. So my prediction was 3-0. The only bit of that I got right was the fact that we scored 3 goals. But yeah, it's always been sort of a cagey-ish game with Fulham. I don't know why. There's always sort of teams like that anyway, isn't there? And just over the years, it's always been one of those games. So even the players might have had that in their minds. And I think sometimes as well, it's you've kind of got nothing to lose when you go to Emirates to a certain extent. You just want to make an account for yourself. So to actually win that game and come away from the Emirates and that long sort of drive home or train ride home from London back to Manchester, but that journey would have been sweet coming back with 3 points. And obviously we beat City at home and what have you, but to beat a team like that could easily frustrate us, which they kind of did in parts. One thing I will say, though, actually, is that I never felt particularly threatened by Fulham in terms of them scoring a clean goal. I think, again, generally speaking, I'd say we controlled things in most parts. But again, that possession stats is a little bit for me. But like I say, it's Casemiro for man of the match for me. Anybody that watches this afterwards, as I was saying earlier, put your comments in. Tell me who you think your man of the match was. Tell me who you think your strong performers were. And yeah, it's on to the next one. It's on to the next one, people. And we've got the mighty Spurs next. And I tell you what, we've got to beat Spurs because they've had our number for a while. And again, that loss in Europa League still hurts. It still hurts, people. We've got to avenge that somehow. But yes, comment here, question for myself. Am I keeping Carrick? Well, David, you were still here. You keeping Carrick, but we could talk about it tomorrow. But yes, am I keeping Carrick? I mean, at the moment, I'm just going to see how things go because I don't want to speak too soon. We're only 3 games in, so that's what I've got to remember. We're just 3 games in. And he's done well, like I say, to beat City, done well to beat Arsenal. And that was probably the most impressive for me is that Arsenal win, considering Arsenal is such a good team and they're at the top of the league. And obviously City have been hit and miss. I think I liked the City win until they lost against Bodo Glimt. And then I thought, how good were we if they're losing against a team like that? But then when we beat Arsenal, I was like, yeah, I'm feeling this. And then today, like I said before, I think this was the big test. This was the reality check. So it's reality check in the sense of, do we draw or lose this game? And then it's just back to normal. And it's what any of the coaches would have done. Or is it like a bit of realism to say, we've beat Fulham here. What can we do next? So another big test against Spurs. They're all big games. They're all massive games because we want to finish back in that top 4 area. We want to get back in the Champions League, as I keep saying. That's our real hope of trying to get back to where we believe we belong. And if we can finish in those top places, that's where players are going to be attracted to Manchester United again, especially those that don't have an affinity to Manchester United. So it's all right pulling on the heartstrings of boyhood Manchester United fans like Cunha and Mbumo, but it's those ones that don't support Man United but find us attractive because we play decent football, or because we're in the Champions League, or because they feel that we might have a chance of getting back up there again. And that's what we want now going forward. Obviously, we want players that want to come to us because it's Manchester United, but where we are at the moment, we don't seem to have that same allure as Real Madrid, where it's like a player says when they're a kid, one day I want to play for Real Madrid. And obviously, you do get people that want to do the same for Manchester United, but we just don't quite have that same level of sparkle as Real Madrid. So we need more. And we can't be just languishing in 6th and 7th and 8th and finishing 15th like last season and losing to Spurs in a final. Spursy. I mean, I've struggled to forgive. Well, I don't forgive Amorim for that. We should not be gifting Spurs their first cup in many, many, many years. I mean, I don't even know how many years it was, 30, 40, whatever it was. So, no, I can't forgive that. But anyway, onwards, upwards. Carrick's at the wheel. How does it feel, everybody? And yes, it's United. We've won. We're back up there. Let's see how we fare in the next few games. Let's see if people get haircuts and a beard cut, maybe. Let's see if we can get those 5 games in a row. It's been hanging over us like a dirty black cloud, not getting those 5 games in a row. But anyway, not asked about that. I'm more bothered about performances, more bothered about shooting up that table as high as we can get now from here on in and getting that top 4 position. We need to get back in that Champions League. So you players have got to keep working hard. We've got to keep aiming for that goal now because we're out of the cups. We've got no cups. We've got to concentrate now on the league. It's very tough for those players to get games now because we've only got 1 game a week. We've only got 1 game a week, just the Premier League, so that's where it makes it very difficult for certain players now to start. So Sesko misses out, for example. Shea Lacey, who we've all sort of wonder boy, will we see him again? The thing is, we need to be sort of taking a game to a team and winning quite comfortably in that game before we start to see certain players like that now because we've only got 1 game a week. That's the problem. So, coming towards the end of the video now, done the man of the match. Casemiro. It's Casemiro. Going to give us a send-off. I'm sure he's going to be fighting hard right to the end, wanting to, sign off with a top 4 finish. And I think he'll be happy with that at least. So, as always, thank you for watching Dan Talks United. And as always, please subscribe because it's really important to channels such as this to starting out. Please catch me on David Speaks Football's channel as well. Be back on there tomorrow. And also, shout out to Alex and the Football Brotherhood. Please watch these guys. We're all starting. We're all still quite new in this field, in this crazy world of YouTube. But yes, keep supporting us. Keep watching us. Please like. Please share. And I'll see you on the next one. See you later, people. United.